All right, let's go. All right. I want to tell you right now, Cindy, right now, and Tim, we are in the midst of what I call the dog days. And they try hard, don't get me wrong, but they just try just to a point. And if you're not a coach or if you're not really watching, you don't know. Now, here's the way it works. They're excited at the start of the season because they all want to make the club and you know what I mean? They want to make the club and they're all excited. And then in the little less, and then around Christmas, it starts to wane, and it looks like they're trying, but then when the playoffs come, and they know the playoffs are coming, they all start getting excited again. You're going to see better hockey down the trail, as they say, but that. So really,
as a coach, is there anything you can do in the dog days to keep them interested?
That's the thing, and that's why they're having more coaches now that have played the game. They know what's going on. They know the coaches know, and you can only push them so far. You start giving them heck and everything because first of all you let them scrimmage, and they love scrimmaging. And as long as they scrimmage hard, I let them scrimmage hard. Drills, they hate drills. But you see, the players coming now don't know any different.
Yeah, because minor hockey, that's the drills.
They
that's
drill it to death, and they won't. And I remember one guy who was a pretty good coach, and they scrimmaged for 10 minutes. 10 minutes, it's over. You get two shifts a game.
But explain that why the coaches.
I have no idea.
Well, you said it's because they don't let them scrimmage because they like the drills because it impresses the parents to say, oh.
Well, no, they love the parents. They love it when they get a blackboard on the side, and they get it they put it up on the glass, and they're paying what $100 to $200 an hour. And here they are. They could do that in the dressing room.
Well, you say that about stretching too. You don't believe in stretching on the ice.
If they want to stretch, let them stretch.
So, Dad, we were talking a little bit before the podcast, and there's one guy in hockey that has set a record that'll never be broken.
Is Glenn Hall. I mean, they talk about records. I mean, I don't think anybody will ever beat. The guy played 552 consecutive games. I wrote it down. They can't even play 3 games now.
Well, they don't play back-to-back games.
Yeah, and back-to-back games. They get too tired. Yeah,
and he played without a mask.
Yeah, I don't know, but 552. He used to get sick to his stomach before the game. If he didn't get sick to his stomach before the game, he'd feel he wouldn't have it. Well, he did every game. He played 960 games he played. I wrote all this down. 960 games he played altogether. They call him Mr. Gooley. And who wouldn't he? I mean, imagine 552 games in a row.
Yeah, they say records that'll never be broken in sports. That one will never, ever be broken. I don't even think you won't even get close to that. You won't even get 200. You won't even get 100 consecutive games, let alone 500.
And Detroit had.
Do they have a backup goalie? Their poor little backup goalie. Eh? Did they still have to pay him?
I don't know. No, yeah, I always had a backup goalie when I was there. But holy dynamite! And he was traded to Chicago. I think the year before he got the Rookie of the Year, and he traded to Chicago. He won the Conn Smythe. I mean, he's just unbelievable. And call him Mr. Gooley, but that's hard to believe.
Did he win a Stanley Cup?
Oh yeah, they won the Stanley Cup when he was there. He was. I think he did. I'm not sure. I have to look that up. And I tell you one thing, boy, he was cool in there. But I'll never forget 552 consecutive games.
Dad, I remember when we had Scotty Bowman on the Grapevine show, and Scotty Bowman had coached Glenn Hall in St. Louis, and he told a story about Glenn Hall, and we'll share it with everybody right now.
In St. Louis, it was a little different. We had older players, and I had my most fun in St. Louis. We never won. And I'll never forget one game, Don. We were playing in the 7th game against Minnesota in the West Division Final, and before the game, Glenn Hall, after the warm-up, he said, Coach, you better keep your eye on me. He did this all the time. He said, because I'm not moving.
He was
very,
sick.
And so I was sicker. I was about 30 years old, and we're getting ready to play the game. And I go in, I look for Doug Harvey, and he's in the bathroom having a shave, about 10 to 8. And I said, Doug, I got to talk to you for a minute, And yeah, what's up? I said, well, Glenn just came to me, and he wants to know if we were sure we want him to play tonight. The other guy hadn't played the whole playoffs. And he says, in fact, he said, keep an eye on me tonight. So Doug says, well, I got news for him, Scotty. I'll keep 2 eyes on him. But he said, he's going to play. And we played that night, and we went into 2 periods of overtime. And Glenn Hall had 61 shots, let in 1. And Cesar Maniego had 55 and let in 2. That was the best goaling I can ever remember in a playoff series. We went into late in the second overtime before Ron Schock scored the winner.
So, Cindy and Dad, we'd like to thank our sponsors, Spreads.ca. They're a Canadian-owned online casino and sportsbook. And if you sign up now and use the promo GRAPES, they'll match your deposit up to $500. You get 10 spins on the big wheel for some big dough. And your first sports bet, they'll spot you $25. So they're, again, right into it.
Good.
Yeah, they're right into it with the World Cup and the football and the basketball and the hockey and the World Juniors.
I don't understand about soccer. Soccer is like on a penalty kick if you guess the right way.
Yeah, that's what it is. Well, but yeah, look at England guy, that Kane, he put it over the net. Basically lost might have lost them the...
Imagine he was put in the top corner. It's like you see the hockey players going in and they miss. They're going for the top corner. That's what usually happens. Anyhow.
So, Dad, one thing that happened this week, this is Sunday morning, was Ryan Reeves really corked a Detroit Red Wing, blowing up the ice with his head down, and... Some people were asking, do you think that should have been a penalty?
No, I don't. And what are you going to call it? He curled. Like what happened is the guy did take a look up the center ice. He saw nobody up in center ice. But what happened was Reeves curled and came back. And when he came back...
But then that guy looked away.
Yeah, then he looked back. See, that's the problem. There's so little hitting in the game now that they're not afraid. In the old days, you never get that hit, and that was a beauty hit.
Yeah,
that was a good hit.
Yeah, we put that up on your Twitter feed, so check the Twitter feed if you haven't seen it yet. But Ryan Reeves was a fire plug. The guy would have ran right into him.
Yeah, but he did look up. He did. He just took a quick peek and he saw nobody there, so he turned his head a little bit to the side.
So do you think he had him lined up like way back far? He said, "Oh, this guy."
No,
it was an instant.
It's juicy. They call that, and the players call that. It's too juicy to pass up.
So that's not like a couple of the wings went after him, but then the second.
Well, you have to go after him.
Yeah, Ben Sherratt fought him, which was pretty good.
Well, that's all right. Somebody's got
him and kind of fooled him around, but he went after him.
So, thing is, keep your head up. And if you're going up center ice, because the guy might curl back, and so I'm glad Ben went after him anyhow.
So, Dad, we're going to take questions from the Twitterverse and Facebook world.
Who's it from?
The first guy is Barry Crawl, and he wants to know, what are your thoughts of 3 of the Don Mills Flyers making the World Juniors and 2 more from the GTHL, which is the Greater Toronto Hockey League. Making the roster for the World Juniors.
Don't mention that to Leafs now.
That is in Halifax on Boxing Day. And the one guy you like is Brendan Othman.
I like him, and he's 19 years old. He plays for Flint. He's 6'1", 188 pounds. New York Rangers is going to be his final destination.
Yeah, he'll make the Rangers for sure. He kind of plays like he plays with a real edge. Like the only problem I could see him with the World Juniors is him getting penalties because he's like Reeves. If he sees a hit, he'll take it.
Yeah, he'll take it, and that'll be a 5-minute major for that.
Oh, yeah,
rolling around on the ground. 6 points in 6 games. He's got 6 points in 6 games, and he plays like Evander Kane with a little edge to him all the time. You never know when it's going to break out. And
the other Don Mills Flyer is a guy that we talked quite a bit about, Shane Wright.
Shane Wright. Well, I could go. I still like Shane Wright. If I can't understand he slipped to 4th. What is your thoughts on that, Tim?
I don't know. I think Montreal wanted some size, and then the other kid was one of the top Americans, so they wanted to take an American, and then. But that happens. Like when guys start to slide, they start to slide, right?
Well, he didn't slide. He played pretty good.
No, I mean in the draft when they start to slide, they slide. That happens even in the OHL draft. Yeah, and when they slide in the draft, they sometimes they'll slide right down. So
here's one guy that won't slide, Fantelli.
Right. Well, let's go one more. The other Don Mills fly is a guy named Brent Clark, who played for the Barrie Colts and now plays for the LA Kings. Remember, he was that big, rangy defenseman.
Big, and I hope he plays. I wish he played more like the guy in Buffalo.
Powers.
Owen Powers, yeah. I wish he played more like Owen Powers. This guy looks like he's been in the league for about 100 years.
Yeah, and the juniors still could have Owen Powers, but it's hard to believe. See, like this is the thing I'm talking about when the Canadian media doesn't promote its own, in the sense of you have 3 players on the World Juniors that played for the same minor midget team.
Yeah, that says something for their organization.
The organization and the coaching and all that. And
do they get any compensation for developing those players?
No, very little.
Just the parents just foot the bill to develop them.
Yeah, the parents foot the bill, right?
Well, that's the way it used to be in Marlies. Marlies, everybody wanted to play for the Marlies.
Yeah, it switches back and forth, and then there's another kid that who's going to be on the defenseman. What's his name? Del Mastro, who played. He made the World Juniors. He played for the Toronto Marlies.
And Fantelli, don't forget.
And then I think the big kid is one of your favorites. Is
my favorite,
Adam Fantelli, who is draftable this year. So everybody says that Bedard's going to go first.
6 foot 2.
You got a pretty good. If you don't get first, you're going to be very happy with second.
yeah. With that Bedard, be first.
Right.
And
so talk about Adam Fanelli though. He's
the game we saw him play. Remember, he went through the whole team.
If him and Shane Wright were both playing 1 year up in minor midgets, so they were both 14. And he didn't opt for the status to play in the OHL because he wanted to go down and play with his brother in the USHL. And but I think if he did, he would have gotten exceptional status too because he plays a lot different than Shane Wright.
Yeah, he does. Shane Wright, he loves assists, but goals are the only thing that count.
So how does Fanelli play?
Fanelli played. He was fast. He could skate. He could do everything. And I thought he was as good as Wright at the time. I really did.
Right. So he's. I like to see them on a line. Othman Fantelli and because he's a winger, and Shane Wright. And the last prospect game or the OHL championship that you and Ron did and Sportsnet showed, it had all 4 of those guys. So that just goes to show you
that was a great game.
That was a great game. That
And was it televised?
It was televised. It was the last one that you and Ron did, and you got Scott Moore to televise the OHL Cup. And now 3 of those kids are in the World Juniors.
And now it's not televised anymore, is it? No. And then, and it's just, it's self-promotion for the development of these kids. I just don't understand Rogers and Sportsnet and all that not promoting that type of minor. And I used to go to those games with you. They were so exciting. And you did it for a couple years in a row. And it was really building momentum with selling out the Ryerson, rink down there.
Anatomy Center.
I remember I'm going to say it again. I remember Scott Moore and I stand, and there was nobody there. Hey, Tim, there was nobody, maybe 10 people sitting in the stands.
But toward the end, that rink was getting filled up.
Well, they all come at once, and boy, were we happy. If nobody had shown up. And remember that game? That was a terrific game.
It's the last one, was the Toronto Red Wings and Don Mills Flyers, and the Red Wings had that Adam Fanelli, and then the 3 guys that are playing for Don Mills, and Don Mills came back. And here's people say, well, Bernard's a lock for first.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. The United States and universities, they promote their players much better than the CHL does. CHL just does a horrible job in promoting their players. And, towards the draft, you might see Fanelli's name because right now He has, in 16 games, he's got 26 points in university
he's good.
at 18 years old. And they're saying he's right now might be favored to win the Hobie Baker Award in his rookie year or freshman year. And only Eichel and Paul Kariya did that.
Well, they're all good hockey players. I'd like them on our club, my club, if I had them. And they can skate, they can shoot, they can put the puck in the net, and they're beauties.
Yeah. Here's one interesting thing, though, Cindy. You'll like this. That Finale, he plays for the university, right? So Team Canada has no problem of him making the team, especially him, right? And in Sarnia, I believe, there's an American who's in the top scoring in the OHL, and Team USA didn't even invite him to camp.
Well, that's the way Americans think. You know what? If you're going to do that, then you know what? You're going to pay the price. That's the American mentality. You know, I sort of admire it in a way. It sets the precedent for future players.
Canadians, the last democracy in the world. That you play, doesn't matter to them who you play for, as long as you play.
So, Dad, the next question is from Jensen 5+1. Do the Canucks surprise everybody and make the playoffs, or should they blow it up and try to get Bedard or second and get Fantilli?
Well, if I'm Bruce Boudreau, that's the way I think, and I like to think I'm like I would. They're only 6 points out. They're 7-3-0 in their last 10 games. So the only problem is when you're like that, if you have 3 teams you have to jump over, it's pretty tough. So, but I would still try to make the playoffs.
Yeah. Okay, Dad. So the next one we got is from bfan_J. So he must be a baseball fan. He must like the Blue Jays like you. If you can go out and coach one team in the NHL right now, who would it be?
Well, I think that's obvious who I'd be.
Really?
Boston, it's unbelievable. I saw them play the other night. Boy, they go right to the end. There's no quit on that team. That guy's very quiet, that Montgomery. Very quiet back at the bench and everything like that. But he looks like he'd be a tough guy if you crossed him. But anyhow, it would be Boston. Well, why wouldn't it be Boston? He's the best in the league.
So, Dad, we got over 100 questions, and so sorry to everybody that we didn't get to.
Well, we'll get to a couple next.
But a lot of the questions, a lot of Bruins fans were asking, are the Bruins for real? Because it almost seems like they're not.
How about that goalie?
Can they win the Cup this year?
Well, as long as they have 2 great goaltenders like they've got, they could win it easy because they've got they never quit and they try. Well, that coach Montgomery, he doesn't take any. He's quiet back there. He got his hands in his pockets and everything. He's very, very quiet, but he looks like you wouldn't cross him. And he's got 2 great goaltenders. They got everything going for them. They could win it easily.
Okay, Dad, Neil Smith, he wants to know, what do you think of the Leafs this year as compared to last year?
Well, I'll tell you one thing. They've got 2 great goaltenders. As long as they got that Murray, I think they'll go with Murray in the playoffs. Holy smoke. He won it before. He'll win it again.
But going into the playoffs, shouldn't the coach know which goalie he's going to go the
Murray.
distance? Yeah,
it'll be Murray. I would. Oh, the other guy's pretty good too. 2 good goaltenders.
And I remember you and I were talking beginning of the year. You said, watch that Samsonov. You said the Russian goalie, because this is it for him, right? This is last year of his contract.
Yeah.
Well, he only has a 1-year contract, and he's playing for a contract.
When a guy plays for a contract, it makes me wonder. But it doesn't matter now. I'm talking about this year. 2 great goaltenders, 1 folders, 1 will get in there. As long as you got the goaltending, you can go all the way. And it looks like Matthew's kind of saving himself a little.
Well, you called it. You said he wasn't going to get 50 goals, and he's on pace for around 39-40.
Yeah, well...
which is still pretty good. It's a Phil Esposito thing. He only got 40 goals this year.
Yeah. You ever tell you that story? I know him. I remember he got 76 goals, and he got 69 the year before. He said, well, Phil, you're slipping. You got 69. 69 goals. The next guy...
He had an off year.
Had an off year with 69 goals. Anyhow... They've got the scoring; they can score, and they look pretty good. They're on the road when you're supposed to win. You're not supposed to win all the games.
Yeah, they lost 2 in a row.
Yeah, well, it doesn't matter.
Rangers and in New York and in Washington, which is
not too shabby.
Yeah.
And got a good team. They could go all the way with that Murray if Murray keeps playing the same way.
So, Dad, we got some shocking and very sad news in the hockey world. The London Knight forward, Abakar Kazbekov, was found dead. We know quite a few people in the London organization, and everybody was shocked to hear the sad news.
Well, we're very sorry about Abakar, and we send our condolences to the family.